Hey, friends, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm glad that you're joining us today for what I know is going to be a very informative and interesting conversation with my guest today, Ryan Leavitt. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, Sid. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, I'm really excited that you're here because you and I just recently met, and we met because of someone that works in your organization. Found me and we were chatting about something, and I said, I'd like to meet you. I've heard about your organization and want to learn more and want to share it with my community. So, Ryan, tell us who you are, what your company is, and a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Leavitt. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Pillar Booth, and we are a phone booth manufacturer, which started just in offices and has kind of branched to many different verticals and types of organizations since. But a we are a in the furniture industry, of course, but we think a little bit differently. And my background is I'm an outsider in the industry, although I surround myself with people who are way more knowledgeable than I am, and I've learned a ton over the last few years. But it's really we're building a really unique organization in a pretty traditional industry, and we're having a lot of fun having fun doing it.
That's awesome. So, you know, the industry is not something that's talked about on college career day. It's actually not a very public industry. In fact, when you tell people, oh, I sell office furniture, it can be a little bit of a, what do you mean people sell office furniture kind of conversation? And I'm like, yeah, how do you think these buildings get furniture or hospitals get furniture in them? But, you came from the software industry. And so what I'm curious about is why furniture? What led you to the furniture industry?
Well, a few things. It's a good question, but so yeah, my background is I'm an entrepreneur. I've been uh, building software companies for the last 12 or 15 years or so, um, and over that period of time, the most recent company that we had was a company called LearnCore, which was an early pioneer in sales enablement. And the way I define sales enablement is it was, I mean, it's not just technology, but in the software side, it's built to help make salespeople effective, right? And help them make sure that everybody's on the same page and they can tell the same story and they're being coached and managed efficiently, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we worked with hundreds and hundreds of sales leaders and C-level executives from companies around the world and companies that were medium and large and really large enterprises. Um, and what we always found was that the companies that needed us most and needed our technology most were companies in these traditional industries like furniture, but they couldn't use it. And it was because of maybe they weren't changing or they hadn't changed in a long time, or maybe it was the way that the sales teams were built and trained and the way that the strategies that they had. But what we said was, hey, we could take these strategies that we have in the software world and apply them to these companies, right? That
Mm-hmm.
they can't that aren't using, we're seeing firsthand that they couldn't use our technology for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and furniture is a really, really good example because everybody needs it. It's a must have, right? The furniture industry is something that, like you said, the way you started the conversation, some people don't even know that it's bought or sold. It just appears in their office. Well,
Magically,
there's a
right? It
lot of
just
companies that make it.
magically
There's a lot of
appears.
companies that sell it, and there's this really complicated channel, right? And there's a lot of people getting their hands into that
Mm-hmm.
transaction from the manufacturer to the end customer. And me as an entrepreneur sees that as, okay, I think there's an opportunity to potentially change how that happens and create a really great customer experience and have people understand and know how it's bought. And so phone booths are is the product that we
Sure.
use and that we're building. And the reason is because phone booths solve a real business challenge, right? There's nothing I've ever done that we have that we create what we call raving fans. We create raving fans within 2 hours after the product is installed. It's unbelievable because there's such a need, there's such a pain point in most organizations that as soon as it's installed and people can use it, they're relieved and they email us or they call us and say, thank you so much. Everybody loves the booths. They're getting used like crazy. This is so great. There's such a help. And that's just that instant gratification. And that shows you the value and how big of a pain point it actually was. And
Right.
so
So I want
phone
to
booth was-
I want to hang out here
yeah,
for just a second, right? Because there are a
yeah.
couple of things that you said, but I want to stay with phone booths solve a business challenge or a business problem. What is that problem?
There's a variety of problems, and it depends on, as we've learned over the last few years, it depends on the type of organization, the industry that they're in, who's using it, et cetera. Um, but as the world changes and the world continues to evolve, the way people work, the way people communicate, the way that they use their technology, right? It's changing and it's becoming more important. So what we're doing today, just having a video conference,
Hmm.
the volume of video conference has increased so dramatically, and that is one, with the rise of technology, obviously, that makes it easy, but also the hybrid working environment and the way people work. And now that people are accustomed and used to seeing themselves on camera, well, you need a good background. You can't just sit in the open and have people walking around and talking. So the rise of video conferences is a huge thing. Having flexibility in the office, right? Having, or in any environment, having the ability to change quickly and move things around as needed. Um, as the team and the office and the organization evolves is critical, because nobody really has a crystal ball into what the office
Hmm.
is going to look like and how people are going to work.
Hmm.
Everybody's guessing, right? People are writing a lot of
Yes.
information on that, and I think a lot of it is really valid, but it's the future, right?
Hmm.
And phone booths are a great bridge to how organizations handle their real estate and their offices going forward.
Okay, so I appreciate your answer very much. So I'm going to reframe it for just a minute and state it in a way that I heard you, which is my question was, what's the business problem or the challenge that your phone booth or the phone booth solve for our clients, clients being the end users, right? And so what I heard you say was privacy, flexibility, so the need for increased privacy, the need for workplace flexibility where I work and what I'm doing, and then the need for workplace mobility and being able to move things around and change things, all which we know in our industry are very important right now. And you added to that the need for, and these kind of all work together with the example of video conferencing, right? Being able to go into a private place and actually have a video conference, whether it's with your boss who happens to be on the other side of the world, or with a client or with colleagues brainstorming about something. So, and Ryan, the reason that I asked that question, and I'm generalizing this, is I do believe as an industry, when we are forced to answer the question, what business problem does our product solve for our customers? We holistically as an industry can't answer that question, which is why I ask you that question, which then ties me directly back to sales enablement, because that's a topic we could have a whole nother podcast about, because I don't believe our industry understands sales enablement. And why do you think that is?
I i, I think that the industry does understand it. I think that it's a laggard, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of traditional industries, traditional businesses are slow adopters to new trends and technology and innovating in how they approach different aspects of business. Um, with sales enablement, or just sales in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
The, the way that we look at our customers, the way that we look at the industry, is that there are, it's almost like in, if you're searching for a new car, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
you're looking for a new house, right? You're going to find the cars, you're going to do the research, you're going to spend a lot of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to look for a new house, you're going to be on Zillow or Redfin, you're going to have all the information just like you used to have on the MLS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And furniture is no different, but the information is out there. And what we need to do is basically consumerize that process, the marketing process, right? From information, right? From whatever we have, wherever our content and our company and our product is, we need to put it where the end customer is looking. And the end customer isn't a company, right? It's an individual, and there's an individual who's searching. And so just like they're searching for a house, just like they're searching for a car, And so you have to consumerize the marketing side of this. And so we call we're trying to build what we consider a business to consumer or B2C marketing engine, right? We're still doing all the traditional stuff, but we need to be where the customer is. And then if we could be where the customer is, we need to get them to engage, right? And you leverage data, you leverage analytics, you leverage technology to figure out how to get the customer or the person, and that person might have a title as head of facilities or head of real estate or COO or CEO or office manager, whatever it is, but it's an individual and you need to get that individual to engage. And then we bring them down the funnel. And as soon as they engage, we then start a traditional B2B sales process. And we are actually engaging the customer. I think a lot of people in furniture try to transact, right? They let the customer lead, right? They just hear, customer tells them what they're looking for, and then they give them a proposal and a quote and try to sell them a product. We do the opposite. We try to learn what they're solving for. We ask them questions. We actually try to build a real like a B2B sales process, an enterprise sales process to understand the customer, understand their challenges, understand how they want to buy, right? Some people might want to buy through our website and they come through our e-commerce platform. Larger companies like to work with dealers, right? And so we work with dealers. And the goal is to make it easy for everybody, whether it's the customer, whether it's a dealer, a designer, whoever it is, it has to be an easy and transparent process. And then everybody ends up being happy, right? You take out a lot of the challenge and the frustration when you can provide the information people need when they need it. And then you actually talk to them and help them when they're looking for answers, and you could guide them through the process. And that's what we try to do. And so I don't know if it's a sales enablement issue. I think it's a general strategic issue. It's how we look at the industry and how we look at our customer. And we're doing that differently, and it works, and it's a lot of fun to test these strategies and see them work in what some folks would consider a traditional industry, and we think of it as something that's just ready for innovation from a go-to-market standpoint.
So Ryan, I want to talk to my community for just a minute. If you're listening to this podcast, I want you to hit the pause button, and I want you to go back about 2.5 minutes, and I want you to re-listen to what Ryan just said. Because literally, we could stop the podcast right now, and that, my friend, is gold. You just described exactly, you just highlighted so many challenges in our industry, so many reasons why I think people are doing things the wrong way. And it starts with meeting your customer where they are. Where are they? And you define the customer. It is not ABC big corporation that's on the 500 list. It's not. The customer is a person. And what's that person doing? They're searching on the internet. They are searching for content. They're looking for information. Because here's the thing. They didn't wake up today and say, I'm going to buy office furniture today. They woke up today and say, I need to solve this problem in my business. And what is that problem? And they're going to end up with us. And that's what I think one of the biggest breakdowns in our industry is that we are not forward-facing, meeting our customer where they are, which is on the internet. Because I'm going to end with this statistic and we'll go on to the next question. The most recent statistic that I heard is that 85% of consumers, as you just described them, have researched us, have been to our website, know who we are, know what they want to buy before they ever contact us. And my question, you're doing it. You're leading the way in a really big way. My question to everybody listening is, if you're not controlling the message of your solutions and your products, your competition is. So you have to be the leader in that field. And it's so hard for people to understand that social media, content creation, YouTube, TikTok are business tools. They are not just social media. Now, that could also be a complete another podcast conversation, but I appreciate what it is you're doing by meeting the customer where they are. So thank you for allowing me to get on my soapbox about that, because I think there are two words that came from me, which was consumerize the process is really important, and then transparency. As an industry, we struggle with transparency because of the complexity and the number of people that are involved in the process. So with that, let's talk about your go-to-market strategy, because your go-to-market strategy doesn't include a certain component that historically our industry has utilized, which is the independent rep model. So tell us a little bit about how Pillar Booth is going to market.
Yeah, well, let me just start by saying, one, we're not opposed to working with independent reps. We just haven't found it necessary
Mhm.
because we spend so much time trying to be at the forefront of discovery, right? Like the we want the end customer to find us when they're looking, right?
Mhm.
And then they can buy direct. Oftentimes they call their dealer and they say, "Hey, dealer, we want to buy these. Could you look into these booths?" Right? Um, Dealers find us direct when they're searching for their clients, um, and then we work with them, right? And because exactly what you said, that the information's out there, and we're trying to make sure that it is where they're searching when they're searching. And if we can do that, the discovery happens, right? We don't need anybody to introduce our product to the dealers or the end customer because they're finding us organically. Now, in the future, we might need independent reps in certain
Mhm.
markets to get to certain dealers or whatever it might be. And like that might be the way to continue to expand.
Mhm.
But so far, our growth is being driven by exactly what you said, like getting to that individual
Sure.
when they need it. What's really interesting is that we we built our company, right? We designed it because if you look at the phone booth industry, and there are dozens of phone booths, it's a barbell now.
Yes, it is. There are a
There
ton of
are
them.
there are a ton of them. The $15,000, $20,000 booths are great. They're great products, but 95% of companies don't want to pay that, right? And they don't, and most people aren't buying one booth. They buy two or five or 10 or 20 booths. And that's a lot. There are very few companies that want to pay $20,000 for 15 booths, right?
Mhm.
And then on the other end, there are some more inexpensive booths that are lower quality, um, that might be shipped directly from
Sure.
overseas, and um, sometimes you don't know exactly what you're getting, and
Yep.
they're not they don't have long warranties, and
Mhm.
they're just lower cost of materials, and
Sure.
they're good for certain companies that are bargain hunting, and sometimes we send our customers in that direction if they're price shopping. Like you have hard costs in this industry. You can't just keep lowering your cost, keep discounting. But because of that barbell structure, we position ourselves in the middle, right? And we say, hey, dealers, we are a enterprise quality, very long warranty. Our materials are almost entirely steel, right? That the entire booth is the frames, the entire booth is steel, which makes it really durable, really strong. And so the quality of materials is really, really high. The design is great. We just strip out a lot of the bells and whistles. And in doing that, we're able to solve our customers, the end customers' challenges, right? They love the booths. We get them there very quickly. We usually ship in 2 to 3 weeks, but they're priced at an affordable number. And when they are affordable and a number that's easier to digest, we're certainly not the cheapest, right? But we're not the most expensive. We sit in the middle of that barbell, and
Sure.
we're kind of in a category of our own
Mhm.
there. So we can work with the dealers, and we can sell direct. Again, meeting the customer where they are,
Sure.
creating a customer experience, which is the way that makes them happy and makes them comfortable. And for us, it allows us to create, again, what we call raving fans, which are people
Mhm.
that love the product, love the company, and love the people, right? It's being responsive, it's being transparent, it's being having product ready to ship when they need it. Oftentimes phone booths are day two products, and they don't want to wait 4 or 5 months to get them. They
Sure.
want them in a few weeks. They want them yesterday. And
Mhm.
so we're able to solve that, again, at an affordable price point. Um, and then people buy one or two, and then it scales from there.
Sure.
And that's how we go to market, is this idea of be responsive, be transparent, be fast, and have a really great product that's high quality at an affordable price point. And from there, we can win a lot of deals, and we can make our dealer partners look really good, and we can make our customers really happy.
So, what I appreciate about what you just said, Ryan, is you understand how our industry has historically worked, but you're just doing it your way. You're doing the way that is best for you and your business. And at that moment in time, at this moment in time, it is not that you're anti the independent rep organizations at all. You're just saying right now that's not a model that works for our business, which is absolutely okay. But a model that works for your business is direct to consumer marketing, taking orders over the internet for consumers that want to buy that way, because there are customers that want to buy that way, but then also leveraging and working with and partnering with the dealer community, because you understand there are companies that want to buy that way as well, right? That
Right.
requires you to understand what your product is, the problem that you solve, the market that you're serving, right? And really, really understanding the customer journey. And I wonder how many people in our industry truly understand the customer journey that your customer goes on when buying products, which leads me to two words that you said that I think are really important in this. So the last segment you said two words, and now you've said two again. I could probably write a whole column about this conversation, but customer experience and creating a phenomenal customer experience that wants them to come back, that leads them to becoming raving fans. What does a raving fan do? They either buy more or they refer you to their friends, right? And referral marketing, if you will, is one of the greatest forms of marketing for products. And so I really, really appreciate the approach, but you're also doing a couple of other things that are unique that I want to talk about. You're headquartered in Chicago, and you have an American made product, and you're not just American made, you're local sourcing, manufacturing, and raw materials near you, really close to where you are, which is a little bit unheard of in our industry, because Chicago is not a hub for office furniture manufacturing like we find in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Indiana or North Carolina.
So think about what you just said though, and think
Yeah,
about where Chicago is. So there's an element of luck there, right? We are within a couple hundred miles of
sure.
Grand Rapids,
Yeah,
Michigan, and Indiana,
yeah.
and Wisconsin. So
Point
like
well taken.
our materials for the most part are coming from those states: Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, um,
Awesome.
which are all right here. So when we say locally sourced, we mean within a couple hundred miles, but the
Sure.
Midwest,
Yeah.
um, which is
Well, but
it's
if
a
you're
lot.
if you're interested in sustainability and lead credits, right? And you look at that 500-mile bubble map of raw materials, you're well within the alignment of that as it relates to the manufacturing of the product.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the part of it is intentional, and part of it is luck, right? Again, like
Hmm.
being located here in Chicago, like there are some really good advantages from a material
Sure.
material sourcing standpoint, and also logistics standpoint.
Yep.
Um, being centrally located here. The other thing that I'll add to about customer experience, which I think is really important, especially for the dealer community, he knows this very well. Um, Things are not always perfect, right? So we ship 850-pound pallets, and occasionally there's a forklift that'll poke through the pallet and damage a panel, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe once in a while there's a light that doesn't work or something like that. We take so much pride in being able to respond quickly, and the dealers love that, and the customers love it, right? The customer experience is not just pre-sales, it's post-sales, and like that is just as, if not more important than what happens before they buy. And that's what generates the repeat purchases, that's what generates the referrals, that's what creates those raving fans. um, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and frankly, I don't think a lot of people in the industry spend as much time in the post sales process, or at least a lot of manufacturers don't. And we really uh, try to emphasize that for everybody, for our customers and our
So
partners.
I think what I think is interesting about it is you're right. We don't spend a lot of time in post sale. Sometimes the dealers will, sometimes the manufacturers will, but I think as an industry, it's not a primary focus for us. And the reason being is when you buy our products, you typically are not going to buy or outfit an office space again for potentially another 5, 7, or 10 years, right? And so as a seller at a distributor or at a manufacturer, we're constantly looking for new business. We have to always be on the hunt, if you will, for more customers, because that customer that just outfitted 30,000 square feet of space is likely not going to outfit 30,000 square feet of space again next year, right? And so, but I do believe that's why we don't focus so much on it, because we're trying to get things back in our funnel. But you've highlighted the importance, I believe, of post sale follow up, that it does lead to more business. It does lead to more opportunities with potentially other customers and creating that experience for them.
It does. And then the other thing too is that there's this, traditionally the dealer world has had a hard time working with SMBs, right?
Okay,
They're
explain what that is, please, so everybody
the
knows.
smaller businesses.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. Hmm.
Um, and I don't mean, a 5-person company, but even 10 or 50 or 100 or 200
Sure.
person companies that might not have that large of a footprint.
Hmm.
Um, the efficiency of business development for small companies for a dealer is really challenging,
Hmm.
right? Because they just don't, to your point, they're not moving all the time.
Correct.
Those are not annual customers and they don't generate that much revenue. However, they're great customers if you don't have to spend a ton of time and money build like finding them, right?
Hmm.
And so what we're trying to help dealers with, as from our standpoint, is we get these customers that come into us, right, through our website, or they fill out a form, or they're looking for a dealer, and we can actually help funnel those customers to our local dealer partners in whatever market it's in. And we help them try to understand that, that middle market, which is enormous, the middle
Hmm.
market. And it's a really good opportunity for dealers to continue extending and growing their business without having to have 5 sales reps calling on those
Hmm.
companies. And the more that we can work collaboratively to solve that, um, the I think more successful everybody's going to be in innovating a little bit on the business model.
So you're taking the opportunity that when customers come to you and you realize they need more than just a phone booth, or they have opportunity that's bigger than just a phone booth, rather than just saying, thanks for your purchase, we appreciate you, you're actually helping the customer by referring them to a dealer. And so you're helping the dealer. So you've become a lead generator machine, if you will, for your dealer partners. And you're doing it by creating content and, if you will, meeting the customer where they are.
Right.
And they're finding you, and then you're sharing that with the
You
dealer
got it.
community.
And that might be a, you know 50-person, 10,000 square foot office, right?
That's
Which,
good business, friend. That's good business.
especially when it comes to them without, having to go and find them, it comes inbound. And if you could generate inbound leads for the dealers, that's the margin is just way higher because there's no sales or marketing expense
So
to that.
I got asked this question some time ago. It was, I forget which podcast it was on, but I was talking about this very thing, that back when I used to be a senior vice president at a systems company, and I would go sit down with my dealer principals and ask how they're doing and what it is I could do to help them. Inevitably, every single one of them said, "Bring me more leads." Because we need more leads in our industry. So you're doing that through your inbound marketing process. And I have also very long believed that you can make a lot more money focusing on the smaller, less competitive, more profitable projects than you can chasing the 30,000, 100,000 square foot project, where there's the dealer community and the brands for that matter are just beat up on discount, 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 discount. And all of a sudden, there's not much margin left at the end of the day. And there's a lot of opportunity in the middle of the market. So I appreciate you highlighting that as well.
Yeah, it's just an interesting, I think, opportunity for everybody. For
Mhm.
for again, for everybody, the end customer, the manufacturer, the dealers, and everybody could benefit from this process.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ryan, we are about out of time, but I want to ask you to share with us a little bit about what's coming up with you guys. Tell us product development. I think you're going through a rebrand. So, give us a little peek into the future of Pillar Booth and what we can expect to see from you.
We've got a lot coming up. We have a
I wish you could
our
see the smile on his face, guys, because he's like, oh my gosh, we got so much stuff happening. If you're watching on YouTube,
there's
you
a
know
lot. The,
exactly what
the,
I'm
the
talking about.
immediate product update is we're gonna have some updates coming for our standard 1-person booth.
Hmm.
Some simple updates, but like they will continue to just improve the customer experience, and we're always trying to innovate there. We have our two-person booth, which will be launching in the next couple of months and should be in market in the fall. And we've been taking a lot of pre-orders for that already, which is really exciting. Just the idea that the same quality, the same materials, the same look and feel, but a larger booth so people can have meetings or coaching conversations is really valuable. Um, and then we have a lot on the roadmap that we're figuring out for 2023. And then from a team standpoint, we're really about to grow aggressively. We're hiring a couple people to lead our dealer outreach and development and engagement and enablement. Dealer enablement, we've mentioned that word a few times, is going to be really important. We are going to make sure that as partners, as we continue to scale, we provide real education and real handholding and real content and real incentives to make sure that the dealer community is successful. Um, we're building out our continue to build out our product team, and so are actively hiring there. And then from a sales and marketing standpoint, just always continuing to grow, so that the team will be much larger in the next 6 to 8 months, and we should have have a lot of fun and over the next few years as the industry continues to grow and we start to attack new verticals and have new products, and um, you know continue to proliferate the brand that we're building and create more raving fans.
So it's really exciting, and I appreciate the fact that you've shared so openly with us today. And you know, you're developing new product, you're hiring new people, you're investing in marketing, you're investing in the dealer community, you're investing in your growth, which I think is all very important. So I would just like to say, as an old timer in this industry, it is an old timer. I don't look that old, but you know, I've been in here a long time. So, but it is refreshing to see people come from outside the industry, completely, I mean, related but unrelated, to come from outside the industry to come in and to really do things differently and to lead the way, if you will, and show our industry what's possible if we just look at the opportunity to do things differently. And in your case, it started with understanding the problem that customers have and how you could solve that problem with your phone booth. And then you sourced it locally. You made it in the United States. You went direct to consumer marketing, but selling like B2B. And it's a fantastic story. And I appreciate the opportunity to share that with our community today. So thank you
Well,
very
thanks for
much.
having me, Sid, and I'm always happy to continue the conversation as well.
Well, I might have you back to talk about, oh my gosh, sales enablement for sure, and maybe a few other things on this list that you mentioned. So, Ryan, if our community would like to get in touch with you or anyone at Pillar Booth, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can reach out to me at ryan@pillarbooth.com. Go to our website. You can fill out a form. We are very, very responsive. That's part of the model here. If people want to talk to us, we're ready to talk. So would love to hear from anybody. And again, Sid, thanks for having me, and really appreciate what you do as well.
Well, it's my pleasure. And for those of you that are regular listeners, know that all that information that Ryan just mentioned will be in the show notes. So you can head down there and get his email address, a link to their website, LinkedIn contact information, and all of that. And I would also like to say, just know that if you do reach out to him, let him know that you heard him on the Trend Report so he knows where you're coming from. Again, Ryan, thanks so much for being here today. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Go out there and make today great.